So, the first full-size Nintendo Direct in about 18 months just wrapped up, and we got some pretty big announcements, including Pyra Mythra from Xenoblade in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We have a new Mario Golf Super Rush game, I should say rather, a new Mario Golf game called Super Rush, which I called, by the way, not the full title, but I got the motion controls in there. Splatoon 3 got revealed here at the end as like kind of like a one more thing. No Breath of the Wild 2, but to make up for it, we got Skyward Sword HD, now running at seemingly 60 frames per second, and they claim even smoother motion controls. We'll see if that holds up when it actually releases. Miitopia coming to Switch. That's a surprise, and updated the original game, it seems. We got a release date for No More Heroes 3. We got some pretty big third-party announcements. Far too many to go over here, but they included Fall Guys coming to Switch, Outer Wilds, an amazing game on Steam, coming to Switch as well. Knockout City, which is I think we got the reveal of it, and it's a pretty cool-looking dodgeball-like game. Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville, coming to Switch. And yeah, I think that covers most of the highlights for me, but there's a lot to discuss. So let's just get into our overall thoughts on this from both Joey and Tom. Joey, let's start off with you. What did you think of this Direct overall?
I thought it was, all things considered, I thought it was a pretty good Direct. I didn't think it was an amazing Direct. I did feel like there was just a lot of stuff in there that I didn't really care too much about personally. They were the big announcements, my favorite one being of Skyward Sword HD. I will not accept any Skyward Sword slander in the comment section, so just keep it to yourself. I love that game so much. Splatoon 3 was also big. It was very shocking. But overall, I think for a 50-minute Direct, I felt like they could have added in a lot more maybe fun surprises in there, perhaps. I felt they took a little too long talking about some of the games as well. Like even Skyward Sword, I felt like they could have cut it down a little bit. But but given the fact that this was the first full-length Nintendo Direct in over a year, like a year and a half maybe, it's the expectations were a bit unfairly high, I would say. Yeah. Maybe not unfairly. It has been a very long time, and expectations were just like through the roof on this Direct, and I don't think it delivered on those really high expectations, but it was still a pretty good Direct, and it gave us some things to be excited about for the first half of 2021, and yeah, even the surprise 2022 announcements, and I'm like, good lord, we're already talking about games coming out in 2022, like, wow.
It is nice that we have at least some kind of roadmap now. We at least know like some of what's coming in the future. So even when these upcoming games like Mario Golf come out, we do have something to look forward to down the line. Tom, what did you think overall?
Well, you guys needed more than new Pokemon Snap to look forward to? Come on.
Yes.
Great point. That's all we need. That's all I need.
Firstly, for me, my highlight was Mario Golf Super Rush. That's great to see back. I love the speed golf part of it, which is kind of like me in real golf because I golf so poorly. But it's like, oh no, the group's behind me, catching up, I have to run. And, a No More Heroes 3 release date, loved that. I love how Suda51 kind of teased. It's almost like a different game at first, like, no, this is Suda51 trickery. And the Ninja Gaiden, announcement of the trilogy coming out to Switch, that's neat to have. I mean, my Xbox is kind of packed away somewhere, so it's not easy to get to. My original Xbox, that is. So to have it handy on Switch, I'm all for that. And, I would say the Direct kind of tailed off after some of the third-party announcements. Like, it felt like so strong first 20, 25 minutes. But, still really good with Skyward Sword and Splatoon 3 at the end.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like its runtime I feel like Nintendo might have been better off not announcing the runtime in advance, but I think set expectations a little bit too high. Because when you look at some of these announcements, like they are pretty big. Skyward Sword HD, like on the one hand, it seems kind of obvious, but there was a lot of questions in the air of whether that would release, considering it relied on the Wii Remote so much. Mario Golf, even though I predicted it, I don't think a lot of people were expecting it. Splatoon 3, I feel like even though it's been, I think, over 3 years since Splatoon 2 came out, it still feels soon, so that was a nice surprise. But there were, I think one of the complaints that we're going to see about this Direct is the pacing did feel a little bit off. I think the headline segments kind of did drag it down a bit, because there were just so many like third-party games, some of which were really big announcements, but we did have they did kind of represent a lull, and we had multiple of those throughout, which I did think did bring the energy down a little bit. But even some of those I was really excited for. You know, like Fall Guys on Switch that's gonna be a really fun time. I can't wait to stream that.
It's gonna be a knockout time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a knockout, exactly. So yeah, I think it was a solid direct. I think it was a really solid direct. I don't think it's gonna blow many minds. Like, as much as I love Mario Golf, I mean, we know where we're getting into. Although I think that is a really novel idea with the speed golf portion, the speed Super Rush title, and I think that's a really cool idea. So I'm curious, what is the thing you guys are most excited for from this direct? If you get to choose one thing, what is it? That's how we'll decide our first topics. Joey, let's start with you again. What is your favorite thing from this direct?
Skyward Sword HD.
Yes!
It's about time people give this game a fair chance. And judging by the reaction to it, a lot of people won't. Like, I've just been seeing a lot of people saying, wow, why would I pay $60 for the worst 3D Zelda? And I'm like, first of all, shut your mouth. Second of all, give it another chance. That I'm convinced, like, the people who don't like Skyward Sword haven't played it. Like, I was definitely one of those people who was kind of turned off by the game around the time it came out. Like, not even just the fact that it was reliant on motion controls. I had to buy a Wii Remote or Wii Motion Plus to play it. That was kind of just... That's kind of what didn't lead me to buy the game until, like, 3 years later. And granted, I did have the hype of what was known as Zelda U, now known as Breath of the Wild, to sort of motivate me to catch me up, because... it was time for me to play Skyward Sword, and I just love Skyward Sword. Like, it's definitely a more linear Zelda game, but the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like, now that I think about it, it's not more or less linear than Twilight Princess. Like, Twilight Princess had an open world, but there was not a lot to do in it. Skyward Sword, there's a lot to do in that game. There's a lot of things to do. And now that the actions are going to be remapped with buttons and the control sticks, which I theorized, which I assumed they were going to do, because you can do that also in the emulated version of Skyward Sword, using the control stick, the right control stick, to swing the sword instead of motion controls. I guess they are taking that route, and it's the first 3D Zelda to run at 60 frames per second, so that's really cool. But yeah, I'm excited. If you haven't played Skyward Sword, like, you really should. Like, if you're getting into Zelda, or if you are a Zelda fan but you missed out on Skyward Sword like I did, you gotta pick this game up. I really think it has the best Zelda story out of all the Zelda games, period.
It has a story, which is more than some of the Zelda games would say. It is good. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm really interested to go back to this. I said before, I've been holding off on revisiting it, even though I wanted to, because I was afraid an HD remake was going to happen. It was around the corner, and that's been the case for a couple of years now. So I'm glad it finally happened, and I was excited to see it back. Like, I think this game kind of deserves a second chance, because the timing is super interesting. Because before it came out, it was the last console Zelda game, as Aonuma said, in the vein of how they had been up to that point. And so that preceded Breath of the Wild, at which point Breath of the Wild felt like a breath of fresh air. So now it's interesting that it's bookending Breath of the Wild as it's now the first post-console, or first post-Breath of the Wild game in the same vein as the originals. So people might be more forgiving for it now, more appreciative of what it is, knowing that we now have a separate series of Zeldas, presumably, that will continue what Breath of the Wild did, such as with Breath of the Wild 2. So yeah, I'm really excited to go back, and really curious to see how my thoughts on it hold up. My main concern is, at this point, despite the announcement that the controls are apparently smoother this time, I'm still a little bit hesitant, but the controls were pretty good on Wii, and it's partially because it had the sensor bar to recenter the controller automatically for you.
Yeah.
And we've already seen in some other Switch games, including Mario Galaxy and All-Stars, like, the gyro controls lose their focus pretty quick. They start drifting, and you have to recenter it constantly. That's my concern with a Skyward Sword, that do we have to manually recenter that sword constantly? Maybe it won't be that big of a deal if you do. Maybe Nintendo found a workaround that makes it so you don't have to do it constantly. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that's handled. But on the other hand, we have the right stick controls now too, so you don't have to use motion controls at all if you don't want to. Hey, that's pretty cool. Plus, I noticed immediately, I know you did too, Joey, 60 frames per second. It is so obvious. You reminded me, this is the first console Zelda game to run at 60 frames per second, first 3D game to do so.
Yeah.
And that is awesome. So I'm excited for that. And I wonder if there could be any more added to this game? Like any more small features, a la like how Wind Waker added some gameplay tweaks. Do you think we might see anything else here, or do you think they kind of covered most of it in that?
I feel like what they covered in the trailer was like the extent of what we're gonna see, like change wise. But I don't think we're gonna see any additional content. They might reveal that later on. I know when Twilight Princess HD was revealed, I don't think they mentioned anything about the additional challenge dungeons until like a little later down the road. Speaking of, as much as I love the Skyward Sword HD announcement, it does make me wonder, where's Wind Waker HD, where's Twilight Princess HD on the Switch? I think out of all the Wii U games that Nintendo ported to the Switch, those two need to be like, they should have been top of the list in my opinion. So
it is surprising that they're not here, but I assume they will be at some point.
I hope they get like 60 FPS updates too, like if that's why we're waiting longer, hopefully.
Yeah. Tom, do you have anything to add about Skyward Sword?
Well, Skyward Sword, it's an exciting announcement. It's too bad, like you said, there's no like additional content or obvious changes to it. I wonder with Skyward Sword if it was kind of in the Nintendo vault, waiting for a good moment to come out. Grezzo, I believe, was working on a medieval and stylish game. I wonder if this counts for it, like they're currently hiring for, because there are some stylish characters in it. The right analog stick is a great solution, though. I think that's going to work well if you have problem with the motion controls. Skyward Sword kind of successfully downplayed, though, the lack of Zelda anniversary announcements after. I'm like, oh yeah, they didn't really mention anything about that, which is only one kind of too bad thing about it.
Yeah, that was a little surprising. No Breath of the Wild 2, as I kind of expected. But yeah, so I assume that there will be a bigger Zelda-focused event later on in the year. Assuming Nintendo even acknowledges the anniversary. Knowing them, they may not. I think they will, and I hope they do. So Tom, what was your most exciting thing from this Direct?
I would say that would be the Mario Golf Super Rush for me.
Yes!
I mean, to have that after so many years, like the last one I played a lot was on GameCube, to be honest, with my friends, so I'm looking forward to getting back into it with this one. There was no Wario and Waluigi hijinks in a trailer going on like some of the other sports games. That was the only downside so far.
But Wario was wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
at some
got
point,
that at least.
So.
He's going to take that golf to the Old Town Road. Let's just say that.
You know what? I do hope that they have an awesome cinematic in there. That's one of my favorite things about the classic Camelot Mario sports games, where they had some chaotic energy, and you see like Wario and Waluigi having some crazy adventure. So hopefully that's the case. But even if not, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I'm glad motion controls are in there. That's just a kind of more fun and accessible way to play Mario Golf. The Super Rush mode, or whatever the speed golf mode is called, brilliant. That is great. I think Mario Party should be taking a page from that book. It's like you just have everyone roll the dice at the same time and to see what happens. Yeah, that's such a cool idea where you're golfing, like everyone starts teeing off at the same time, then you run to your ball and you just start swinging again. And like, what a great idea. I think that's a really fun way of kind of incorporating a little bit more of like the platforming style mechanics of Mario. I don't know how much platforming is actually involved, but it's just a really fun like Mario way of playing.
Yeah, and I suppose if you go into the rough or a water hazard, that's going to slow you down and like cause you to get a bit more frantic and try to catch up to everyone else.
Exactly. So yeah, and that's probably gonna have a super strong, well, I say super strong, I mean there's all relative, a fun online mode, I think. Like this will be a great game to stream, to play with you fine folks, both Tom and Joey as well as everyone watching right now. Should be a good time. So, and the costume thing is always a fun thing to play with, so we'll see.
I think it's funny how oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying, Tom?
Oh, I was just gonna say a bad pun, Joey. You can go ahead.
Now I want to hear it. But I think it's interesting. A lot of people were tweeting about Mario Golf yesterday. So was this rumored or something, or because I feel like
it could be based on our predictions, maybe. I don't know.
Probably because I feel like there's some times during Nintendo Directs where Twitter just gets predictions 100% correct, and I think that's what happened here.
Maybe. I think for me, the thing that I was most excited for, besides Mario Golf, Tom, was Splatoon 3, especially because it did come as a major surprise. Like, it's still, even though it has been 3+ years, Splatoon 2 still feels, I don't know, recent to me, but seeing a sequel there, is exciting, and that they've had more development time, so it'll hopefully be even more different. And that seems to possibly be the case based on how they introduced it. Like, in that desert setting, and you see like the upside down Eiffel Tower, and it seems like they're really leaning into like the post the world, the post world that we know, and that's exciting. They're kind of really leaning into the lore side of things, and I'm really interested to see how the story mode shapes up. So, which is a bit of a bummer because we didn't see anything of that this time beyond what that may have been. But we did see a little bit of the multiplayer gameplay. And that looks, it looks very similar to what we've seen, but it does seem like they're introducing a few new ideas too, at the least. Like, I'll have to really dive in there and see what all's going on, but I immediately loved how you seem to be able to, like, launch yourself into the arena now, like, you choose where you spawn, which is a little bit like how you could choose to launch to a teammate in the original game, but this seems to be, like, kind of ramping it up, making it more of a central focus, and that seems like just a kind of fun idea that will look neat too. We saw, I think, some cool new weaponry, and also I should mention the Twitter account tweeted some new details, including the fact that we saw that you have like a helper character now.
Yeah.
I believe at least that may have only been, was that only in the campaign? I don't think they were in the multiplayer footage, right?
I didn't notice. I noticed it in like the single player. I didn't notice any multiplayer. Yeah. It's like, what are we playing? Recore, like but Splatoon style? And,
well, so
points for getting that reference.
I didn't get it. So yeah, we didn't see a ton of this game. Again, I want to go through the trailer later and really break down what's there. But that is super fun and exciting, and it's good to see them, keeping the Splatoon momentum going. Even if we're not going to see it for at least a year, given that it's coming out in 2022, could possibly be close to 2 years away. Depending on when it releases. So
I don't want to sound like a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, but did they mention that it was coming to the Switch?
They didn't, but it looks like it probably is,
Probably.
I mean, it looks good, but it doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it does have, like, if it's possibly a cross-compatible game with a Pro or whatever, but I think this will definitely be playable on the Switch.
Oh, so. For sure, yeah. But it was kind of just like, we're coming up on that 5-year mark for Switch, for like Nintendo hardware. I still think the Switch...
By that point, that point will be the 5-year mark. So.
Yeah, but I feel like the Switch will last longer than most Nintendo hardware has. I mean, hardware, consoles in general just last longer. But before we get sidetracked, Splatoon 3, I'm excited for it. Splatoon is one of those games where I don't really get that excited for it until I'm actually playing it. So so I know I'm gonna enjoy it when it comes out, and I'm digging this new nitty-gritty post-apocalyptic feel. The game's already post-apocalyptic, but they're really driving home the point that it is.
Love the Eiffel Tower, so great.
Well,
yes.
Well, it's so surprising how dry the environment looked. Like, that's like the opposite of what you want in Splatoon. Will it be more resource management of ink and stuff like that in the game? We'll see. And just making it hard to play in single player in that regard.
Yeah.
And I was thinking this was another expansion, like the Octo expansion, but then when we got to the plaza, it's like, no, this is a new game.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I was really not sure what direction they were going initially, and, looking back, it's like, okay, very clearly Splatoon 3 the entire way through, once you got the title. But yeah, like, I thought, like, could this be like a spin-off, more of a single-player focused adventure, perhaps? No, it's still Splatoon. The single-player, I hope, will be even, I would love it if they broaden it even beyond what they have, and it seems like they may be. But in any case, it looks cool. I'm excited for finding out more about this. It probably will be a little while before we do, I'm guessing at this point. Considering it's a 2022 title. But yeah, I was a huge fan of the original Splatoon. I like Splatoon 2 a lot, though I felt like it was a little too similar to the first one, so I'm hoping the extra development time will help them really make the game even more diverse. And already it does seem to be, like, with the whole, being able to launch, having the partner character in the main game, seemingly, and other things. So, yeah.
And it's also, I also realized, like, the time between Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 was 2 years. So that's probably why 2 is a lot like Splatoon 1 in that sense.
Exactly.
But by the time this game comes out, assuming it doesn't get delayed, it'll be like 4 years. So, yeah.
I should mention, the Twitter account does mention that there are a couple new ways that the Inklings can move too. There's a squid roll, allowing them to leap and twirl out of their ink, and a squid surge, allowing them to quickly swim up ink-covered walls and jump out at the top. So that could be a fun way to engage in battle, because Splatoon 2 I don't think had any new core moves. So the fact they're adding some new movement options could really go a long way in making it feel different.
I know they had didn't they have a dive roll forward in Splatoon 2 that you couldn't do in 1, if I recall correctly?
That was part of
like the dualies.
The dualies. That was part of a weapon set. Yeah, exactly. They also mentioned, like, they also talk about some of the new weapons, like the bow, or the thing shaped like a bow.
The crossbow, man. That's like,
that's
that's
amazing.
Negan. No, not Negan. Daryl in The Walking Dead. Wow.
We also saw that new crab super weapon, apparently, or special weapon, I should say. So yeah, there is a lot of new stuff going on in there. It's recognizably Splatoon, but it does seem like they're mixing in a lot of new content. So stoked for that.
Stoked.
All right. Well, one thing we haven't discussed yet is we got another Smash Brothers character, or should I say characters? It's a two for one deal, seemingly. Being Pyra and Mythra.
Pyra and Mythra.
Pyra, thank you. Gee, clearly, I'm not a huge Xenoblade fan. Pyra and Mythra from Xenoblade in Smash Brothers Ultimate. You swap between them, seemingly like Pokemon trainer. It seems. I don't know. I don't know if there's a little bit more than that mechanic or not. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? I know none of us three are really, I don't think we're big Xenoblade fans, unfortunately. But are you excited to try this character out based on what you saw in the trailer?
It's pretty cool. I saw when the trailer
Pretty hot,
came.
I think you mean.
I'm gone, baby. But
we have to use a video.
Yeah, exactly. You got to use a video for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the trailer because it just kept me and Tom while we were watching together guessing, like, is this a Xenoblade 2 expansion already? Like, what? That's not already, but like, it's been years.
It looked like it.
Yeah, it did. And because they didn't have a Smash logo at the beginning. They didn't. So we didn't have, well, I thought I had Smash in the back of my mind a little bit, but I was like, this has to be a Smash trailer. And then sure enough, Pyra comes in like, I got invited to Smash and I couldn't tell you. And I'm like, haha, yes. Because I guess they can't do Rex because Rex already has a Mii costume. So I guess that counted him out. But it's fine because Rex uses Pyra and Mythra as his weapon anyway. So it makes sense for Pyra and Mythra to be their own characters since they are the weapons, pretty much. So that's really cool that Sakurai got to put these characters in the game because I know he wanted to, but I guess there was a time cutoff. And he found a way to do that while also having the Rex costume in there as well.
That is awesome to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the setup and the tease. Like, I was kind of guessing Smash would be later in the direct, so you would wait for it. Joey's like, no, it's going to be right away. And it was right. And although when they're doing it, it's like, where is she? I'm like, I bet she's in Smash already.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure enough, I love the setup. Just, making it look completely like a new expansion or something. But no, Smash Brothers.
They did, yeah. And they kept me guessing almost up until the end. It's like, is this an expansion or is this a Smash thing? But they started driving home the point, like, where is she? And I'm like, okay, they're clearly leading up to her being a character in Smash. And that's maybe for me the only disappointing thing is by the point it got revealed, I'm like, okay, I know she's in it now. But it was still like a well done reveal. They really, it's something different from what we've seen before. And it was a fun way of doing it. So yeah, they always find ways of surprising us. And the fact that I didn't know for the longest time up until like maybe 10 seconds before is pretty cool. So yeah. And I forget, what was the release date for
March.
her? March. Okay. Oh wow, that's right, next month. Right. So all right. I can't wait to try her out.
Yeah, just on these releases though, it's like with Banjo and now with this, we just have to look back a year at characters we were guessing and then give up on, and they'll be out later. Except Geno, of course, but
That's still the case, exactly. Because we've been predicting them for a while, and it finally happened. So I gotta get back on the Geno train. Come on, Geno!
Come on,
we've had
Hayabusa.
As Joey was saying, like, Sakurai, tried to do it before, and in Pyra's case, and that's also the case for Geno, where he wanted to get Geno in Smash Brothers Brawl. So come on, it's the ultimate Smash. It's gotta happen. Anyways. I think we gotta talk about No More Heroes 3 at the least briefly because I had a feeling it was No More Heroes 3, but I wasn't quite sure at first. Like, that looked very different considering we had seen almost nothing up to this point. Because they have the whole like alien thing going on. Yeah, what do you think of this, Joey? I know you're a huge No More Heroes fan, so.
Well, that's the thing, Andre. I'm not. I don't know where you got that from, but
oh, really? I thought you were.
I was like, how do I fake it until I make it right now? But
never mind, I'm mistaken.
But I am trying to replay 1 and 2 since they're on Switch.
Oh, so you played them, so you're fans of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm stuck on the like the third boss in the first game though, so I can't say I'm a hardcore player. I think it's the third boss, maybe fourth. I don't remember. But yeah, I like that they're incorporating. Well, the first thing that jumped out at me was like, oh, they're incorporating chores to make money. Awesome,
like
little part-time jobs. Yeah, like one thing I'm interested to see is how just the craziness evolves with 3. Like it's already evolved enough because we got space aliens up in here now.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I know I have until August to play 1 and 2. So yeah, gotta get on that.
What do you think, Tom? I know you played the originals, right?
Yeah, I've played them as... I saw a tweet from someone who interviewed him recently that, keep an eye out on the direct for something Suda51 related. Then I see it and like, is this some sort of spin-off game? Kind of like Travis Touchdown. That was for Switch at first, just about fighting aliens, maybe some small versus game to pass the time for No More Heroes 3. I was like, no, that was just the typical Suda51 trickery going on, like the one where he just stood in front of No More Heroes 3 footage during the presentation. The release date coming in August sounds like a good amount of time for them to work on the game, because it was delayed already. Without being rushed, hopefully he gets everything that he wanted in there and his vision will be complete. It definitely looks amazing so far. I'm gonna be playing it on day 1.
It definitely has a style. Like the No More Heroes games have a style unlike any other.
Yeah.
They're very recognizable. It looks great. And yeah, I need to go play the first 2 myself now that they're on Switch because I do want to check out 3. Speaking of 3s, actually, one of the third-party games announced was the Ninja Gaiden Collection, I believe, or I forget what they're calling it. But all the modern Ninja Gaidens in one package on Switch, and that's exciting because I remember I did the guide for IGN's guide for Ninja Gaiden 2, I believe. And that was a fun game, but also like really tough. So I don't know if any of you have played them before, if you might revisit it here or visit it here for the first time.
I think I want to visit it there for the first time. I haven't played them before. I think I played the demo of the third game on PS3. I know I wanted to get the third game on Wii U just because it's like, oh, I want to play games on my Wii U, but I never did that. So yeah, this looks like a really cool collection that I think I want to try out.
Nice.
I'm excited for it. It's one of my favorite games of the original Xbox, and I believe I did have all 3, although the third one, by that point, it kind of tailed off a little bit. So the first 1 and 2, though, it was around a time of Devil May Cry and stuff, like an exciting time for sort of high-paced, high-octane action games. And, it's really tough, but it's an amazing game back from maybe the heyday of Team Ninja. So I'm glad it's coming out here again. I hope it indicates there's going to be more in the future, like in terms of
maybe like Ryu appearing in Smash Brothers, perhaps.
I would also take that, yes.
Yeah. We got some of the other games we got that I touched on earlier, or include Fall Guys, which is going to be big. Like that's going to be like an Among Us situation, I think, where it's going to blow up on Switch day 1. And that's such a great platform for it. That's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't played Fall Guys, well, you should now on Switch because that's going to be a blast. I can't wait to stream it for everyone. Have you played Fall Guys?
I have. Yeah, I've only played it like the day it came out though, but it was an absolute blast to play. I played it with my friends, and yeah, that's like I can't even call it like a battle royale. It technically is a battle royale, but it doesn't feel like one at all because it's like. Yeah. It's all about just surviving party games, and the last man standing wins.
Yeah, it's basically a 99 or however many players there are, 60 I think. It's like a 60-player version of Mario Party, minus a board game. So yeah, it gets pretty intense. And I think Nintendo should take like a lesson here from this. Although when I was playing the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, the Floodless stages of Mario Sunshine, I'm like, these are basically prototype Fall Guys stages.
They are.
Yep. Outer Wilds is a game I'm excited for. That game was awesome on Steam. I didn't beat it, so this is a good chance for me to go back and play it. And actually, some of these games we saw are on other platforms, but really Switch is like the one with like the least amount of friction, which is why I'm excited for them to come to Switch. Like I just got there and get booted up and start playing these games, Yeah, so definitely check out Outer Wilds if you haven't already yourselves. And that includes also, like, I think Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville is going to be fun. One of my sister is a huge fan of that game, so we might be able to play together now that we both have the same platform that this game is on. Looking forward to that. And then also, were either of you as intrigued by Knockout City as I was? Like this weird, like a dodgeball style game that is also, I don't know, like I don't know how to describe this game. It's so weird.
Yeah, I didn't like the trailer. I thought it was trying too hard in general, of just like interviewing the members, and it's just trying to make funny jokes, and it wasn't working. But the game looked cool. I thought, okay, this is just going to be another Fortnite type of Battle Royale game, because the models looked a lot like Fortnite models, and like they had the same font and everything. But then it turns out to be a dodgeball game, and I'm like, oh, now you kind of have my attention. So I'll just have to figure out how that plays. It comes out May 21st. So there's a lot of cool things they can do with just like a dodgeball sort of third-person shooter in that sense.
I think with that one, I'm gonna have to try it out before I get too hyped. It looked a lot like in Splatoon Vibe in a way, or I was thinking Ninjala almost at first. But it's something that didn't look quite as polished as some other games. We'll just see at launch, I think. And if it's fun to play, great. But yeah, the trailer, the marketing behind it kind of like didn't jive exactly with it. But you gotta try different things to get people's attention. It definitely did kind of looking like Fortnite. So
I just saw that it's from the Mario Kart Home Circuit developers.
Oh,
Mario
really?
Kart Live Home Circuit developers. Yeah,
Oh,
IGN reported on that.
Wow. I thought the trailer was fine. I mean, I can see why it may have been trying a little too hard. It definitely seems like it's trying to evoke the Fortnite / Overwatch style a little bit. We have like this very different, like very eclectic and exotic, character types in there. Like we have like basically a 2D character essentially. But the gameplay looks interesting, so I definitely want to check that out. So I just need to see more.
I think
me too.
It definitely got my attention, even if the trailer was a little overdone.
I think that was the biggest disappointment, where it wasn't the 2D character in the actual game for me.
Yeah, why was she 2D in the CGI part? That was weird. I didn't understand that decision.
Yeah, that was a little odd.
So we remember it, Joey.
Hey, we're talking about it. It works.
Speaking of remembering, one thing I totally forgot about until I looked through my notes here is that we had Age of Calamity DLC announced, like a whole season pass type thing announced for this.
Yeah,
and
a weird thing to dedicate to a direct. That could have been a could have been an email. Could have been a Twitter announcement.
It might have been more effective that way, because they just glossed over that super quick. Like they didn't really show much from it, and they showed like a list of things, but barely gave us time to read it. So you played Age of Calamity, right, Joey?
Yes, the whole thing.
Yes. Are you excited for more of it?
I'm pretty interested, I would say. I kind of got my fill of Hyrule Warriors with the full game itself. But depending on what they show us from this expansion pass, I'll definitely give them a shot for sure. Well, it costs money, so maybe not for sure. But depending on what they show, like what kind of characters, I guess they tweeted that Robbie is going to be one of the playable characters. So, I mean, that's what I implied from the trailer. But yeah, Pyra and Robbie might be playable characters. Maybe, I don't remember if they were in the base game. But I'm expecting that. Maybe if we get new areas and not just characters, but like new parts of the map, that would be really cool. But yeah, they didn't really show me much to get excited. They just said, "Here's an expansion pass." There we go. I'm actually gonna look up right now what that expansion pass shows.
Okay. While you do that, Tom, did anything else interest you from this direct that we haven't touched on yet?
There was a lot of Square Enix stuff, like almost Octopath Traveler-like, but with a really funny name of Project Triangle, I believe.
Yeah, Project Triangle, like attack or battle or something.
Yeah,
I forget what it was.
Triangle turntable.
And there's a demo for that out today, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Project Triangle.
I think
Project Triangle Strategy.
There we go. I knew something like that.
Yes.
I mean, it looks like intriguing, and for fans of that genre that like it. That's technically not exactly for me, but it's neat to see them continue to release titles like that on Switch and move in that path of 2D characters in a 3D space, 2D sprites.
Moving the Octopath.
Yeah, moving that Octopath.
Yeah.
It's a triangle path now, it's a tripath.
Yes.
The art style's cool, absolutely. I think I did notice, like in our live chat during it, the people who weren't interested did start to like get a little bored, a little restless during this segment, because it was probably the longest segment, one of the longer segments of the direct. And I totally get it, because I'm not huge on like the real-time strategy or turn-based strategy games either. So, but I still did think it was cool. I'm excited for people who are like really interested in the type of gameplay. And I might check out the demo myself. And hey, maybe it'll hook me, because the gameplay or the visual style is awesome looking. So
yeah, but the expansion pass, before I forget, I want to make sure we know that. So the purchase bonus will give you newly added weapon and costume for Link. You'll be able to purchase it on May 28th. The Wave 1 is going to be an expanded roster, a newly added weapon types, new challenges in the Royal Ancient Lab, and newly added challenging enemies. And Wave 2, which is coming out in November, the Wave 1's coming out in June. Wave 2 includes new character vignettes, newly added stages, which is what I want, expanded roster, and new battle skills for existing characters. So they're stretching this game out all year.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, might as well. I mean, that could take us right up to Breath of the Wild too. We'll see.
We shall see.
We'll see. Hopefully. Yeah. So there was a lot in this direct. Like, we haven't even covered it all. Like, there were so many announcements, especially during those headline segments where it was back to back games. Some of which I will never play.
Let's be real.
Yeah, but yeah, there was a lot of them were pretty exciting, and we had some announcements like we found out more about the what was it, the Ghosts and Goblins? What's that remake? Not remake, update, sequel. I forget what it's called.
I think it's a remake. I thought it was a remake.
Is it a remake? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that looks interesting. I think that what's that Capcom game called? The compilation game.
Arcade Stadium.
Arcade Stadium. Yep, that's out today, right?
There was Famicom Detective, which I am intrigued when I ever hear about a series I've never heard about before, and it has the word Famicom in it.
Oh yeah,
really.
Right, the Famicom Detective Club, right?
Yeah.
I believe, God, I wanted to say that was, I'm sure that was, yeah, I guess it's never come out in the States before, is my point. So that's an exciting thing to see. I have no idea whether that's my type of game or not. It looks like more of a visual novel type thing. But I'll probably check it out because it's cool that's coming here. So any other things you want to touch on, everyone, from this direct that we haven't yet, or anything you want to circle back to?
The zombie game. I forget what it was called. The one that looks like an
Stubbs
Xbox 360 game. Stubbs the Zombie. Oh, what a weird one. I can't wait.
That's a weird one. Weird can be great sometimes. So.
Yes.
And it kind of, we had a couple zombie games here with the neighborhood or Neighborville, wherever it was, Plants vs. Zombies game. So, anything else, everyone? Any other things you want to get out there?
I'll say the direct. We always have such high expectations, and it could be, always better. But I think it was pretty good, especially considering we are still in a pandemic, and
that's a great point.
Dealing with that. So considering all that, and there's titles in there that might not be the huge titles that we're interested in, like Breath of the Wild 2. There's a lot there that I will buy and play for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it was solid, like I said. It is easy to let your expectations get away from you, but at the end of the day, we did have the announcement of several first-party games we didn't know were coming. We didn't really even have an inkling, so to speak, of them. And I can't wait to find out more about them. And of course, this is just like the first direct of the year. Presumably there will be more, if not full ones, at least mini ones. And of course, there's still E3 and then the Game Awards too. So plenty of time for more announcements to come. Nintendo did say this focused on the first half of the year, meaning there is going to be more, announcements for the latter half of the year. So I can't wait to find out what those might be. There will be Breath of the Wild 2.
Well, they did say Breath of the Wild 2 info coming later this year, but that wording concerns me. Later this year? How much later?
Yeah, like December 31st.
Yeah,
exactly.
Happy New Year. And nothing was taken up by Pokemon during this. So Pokemon, we had more new content in this, and Pokemon will get its own stuff later on.
Yeah. I think its anniversary is coming up this next week, I believe. So that might be quite soon when we're finding out more about that. So yeah, more to look forward to. So yeah, there we have it, everyone. A seemingly solid direct with a little something for at least a little something for everyone. So yeah, not a bad way to start off to kind of help us start this new year off. And yeah, thank you for watching. Of course, stay tuned to Game Explain for more from this Direct, including more analysis videos, just, more possibly discussions or head-to-heads. We'll see. Possibly lots of stuff coming. So make sure to click that subscribe button, ring that bell, click the videos on the right for even more, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.